Hello everybody, this is lesson number 5, putting them together. By them, of course, I'm referring to the candlesticks and the indicators. We covered both of those individually a couple weeks ago and wrapped up with the second half of indicators just last week. And so now let's go ahead and take a look at how to look at both of them together and how to use them as effectively as we can. So if we go ahead and we take a look at the Dow Jones Industrial Average here, we can see on the 1 minute candle, on the daily graph here, on the top left, you can see that I find that this setup here works best for me. The candlesticks with both one EMA and one SMA line, so I'm able to see which way the price is headed, in addition to using both the volume and the relative strength index. Notice how I don't have a MACD indicator for my 1 minute time frame here, and for the intraday or the daily graph here, the intraday graph or the 1 day graph. When I say intraday, I'm referring to the period of 1 day, and the frequency is either a minute or 5 minutes, 10 minutes. Usually 1 minute candle is what I stick to as I'm day trading. And when I say on the daily, I actually mean this one down here. Where the frequency is a day, and the period can either be ranging from 6 months to and beyond, to like however far back I need to go. And so yeah, so let's go ahead and take a look at the exact settings that I have here. I know that in my SMA and EMA videos I specified that the EMA has to be either 4, 8, or 13, but in this one I have the period set to 10. I just find that the period 10 for the EMA and the SMA set to 38. I know these are both not the numbers that we went off and said were the common numbers to use, but for this particular platform it seems to work just fine, so I've just left it as is. Whenever the faster moving average is higher than the lower moving average, it indicates an upward trend in price, as the price also holds on or above the faster moving average here, which is the EMA 10. And so that is the setup that I have on my intraday graph here. However, on the daily, I do use the same EMA and SMA settings that I highlighted in the indicator part 1 lesson, where we discussed both of these. So the EMA that I use are exactly as is, so 8, 4, 13. Those are the EMA. And the SMAs that I use are 200, 100, and 50. You can barely see that there. I also have the PSAR, the parabolic SAR here as well, but I don't give it priority. It's only those certain graphs that I have difficulty reading with the tools that I'm currently using, or if I want that added level of confirmation, it might provide it. I don't really pay too much attention. I just have it there. Of course, with these red dots that I have above here for the PSAR, the price usually trends down, and when you have these green dots beneath, the price typically goes up. And again, you could probably use the MACD to verify that if you don't like using the PSAR. And of course the RSI will follow the same upward trend too. So that's those are all the indicators that I have on the daily graph. The volume, actually, I didn't really say too much about the volume here. It's quite rare for me to, in fact, I don't actually recall using the volume as much on the intraday graph here on the 1 minute. I don't actually pay too much attention to it. Where I do pay attention to the volume is actually on the daily here. And of course, just on our last lesson, we talked about volume and its significance, and the relative volume being more important. Now, I know this is an index and we can't exactly trade this itself, so let's go ahead and actually look at something that we can trade, something like JNUG. So, as you probably all know, gold has had a rough month almost, yeah, and it's been trending down. Is there anything that could have told us that JNUG was going to continue its descend down? We could have used the lowest point that JNUG had previously gone to at 1226, probably lower than that actually, because it is a doji, and if I wanted to get the exact price I would go on to stock charts and look it up, but we'll say it's 11, we'll just estimate here and say it's 1150. So if we were to go to 1150 here and have a look, right, if we were to take a look here at 1150, we can see that on all the indicators here, it's bearish. The MACD, the RSI, everything confirms a bearish trend here. So when you fall below that final region of support, you're in big trouble. And of course, the descend down here just continued as the indicators pointed out. And so now this bounce on up, I think this is a bullish harami, if I'm not mistaken here, but I think, yeah, it should be a bullish harami. Let's actually double check that pattern here. So there we go, and it is a bullish harami pattern. So if you guys want a more detailed example, you can go ahead and look at Investopedia. Alright, then now let's go ahead and take a look at another example here. Right, so JDST here had a bullish run on the daily, so we can see that all of the EMAs are the fastest EMA is of course up top, and the SMAs, which are slower, are down below. On the RSI here, we're reaching an overbought area, so it's much greater than 70% here, so expect selling to occur, and that of course did occur here today actually, and we can see that in terms of chart patterns it formed a double top, and our indicators here helped us confirm upon this double top occurring. On the RSI here, there was a bearish divergence which occurred, so the price continued to trend on down. So let's go ahead and wrap this lesson up. So in summary of this lesson, feel free to ask yourself the following question. Which of the following should I prioritize? Candlesticks or indicators? Which frequency and period should my graph be set to when I use the RSI and or the MACD? We just went over a few possibilities that you can set, but of course I guess you also have to consider your platform and see which works best. And on the daily though, I'd stay fixed on these numbers. Yeah, and do I have to use indicators on all my graphs? The answer to that, well, ask yourself if I'm using the MACD on my intraday graph. The answer to that should help you answer that one. And of course, last but not least, does a potential signal mean it's an absolute signal? I think we all know the answer to that one. So thanks again for watching. Feel free to like and subscribe. You can also follow me on StockTwits and Instagram. The links are in the description down below. And if you have any questions, feel free to leave them. I'll get back to them when I get a chance.